Hi, folks. Today is, I believe, Monday the 27th, and we're going to take the quadratics one step further, and we're actually going to start solving quadratic equations now. We're going to start real simple, and this is like, 1, 2 steps in order to solve these, and this is what we're going to do. So our learning goals for today, you can solve a quadratic equation of this form. By taking square roots. That's what this method is called, is taking square roots. Or you can determine as you're solving whether it's going to have one solution, two solutions, or no solution. So we're going to take a look at those different instances. So here are the types of equations that we're going to solve today. X squared equals 25. X squared minus 64 equals 0. 2x squared equals 18. Negative 3x squared plus 50 equals negative 193. Notice that there's only a constant and an x squared term. That linear term that's in the middle, when we were talking about height, it was that velocity. It's not always velocity when we're not talking about height. These are just kind of naked math equations. No linear term. It's just x squared and a constant. There's a certain way we go about solving them when that's the situation. So that's what we're going to do. So this first one we're going to look at is x squared equals 25. And so what I'm going to do first is just take a look at the graph. And so I've got this red one here is y equals x squared. And the blue one going straight across here, we did this the other day, is when y equals 25. So I'm looking for when x squared is equal to 25. When is x squared equal to 25? So that's going to happen where this line and this parabola intersect. And that's going to be these purple. Red and blue make purple, these purple circles. So if I look, looks like negative 5. Look over here. Looks like it's 5. So 5 and negative 5. Well, what does that mean? There's two solutions. So be very careful with quadratics because a lot of times there are two solutions. You've come across that already. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But when we were finding x-intercepts, those are the kinds of things that we're finding. So I have both 5 and negative 5. The mistake that's made is people take the square root of 25 and get 5, and that's it. Now, if we're in some instances, that might be the only answer that we're looking for, but not anymore. Now I want to know what both of those solutions are. After you figure out what both of them are, you can determine if one of them might be irrelevant. If it's just an equation you're solving, neither one are irrelevant. You need them both. Sometimes you can write it using this fancy dancy little positive negative sign. X equals positive and negative 5. Mathematicians like things to be concise and succinct and shorten things up. So that just saves some space, but you can do that if your answers are opposites. So the trick is getting that x squared by itself. Sometimes you're not going to see like x squared equals 25. You might see something like this one, x squared minus 64 equals 0. So excuse me, in that case, I'm going to have to get x squared by itself. We call this solving for x squared. I can't take the square root until I get x squared by itself. Now, you've done similar things to this before when we've used Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to add 64 to both sides and then take the square root. And once I take the square root, I'm done. X equals positive and negative 8. So you can write it like this, or you can write it like this. Either way, I don't care, but you got to have both answers. If you only have 8, you're not going to get full credit. And if we move on to the next slide, what I want you to do now is I'm going to ask you to pause, and I want you to take a look at that notes sheet, and I want you to complete those 4 equations that are on your notes. Come back when you finish those first 4 equations. I believe they're on the front of your worksheet. So that would be, where is it? Right here, these 4 equations. That's what I want you to work on, just those 4 right now. So I'm going to pause, and you're going to come back to me when those are finished. All right, so thank you for doing that work and coming back. And these are the answers that you should be getting when you come back. So here you just have to divide by 2. Got to get x squared by itself, solving for x squared. X squared by itself first. So x squared equals 9. Take the square root, you get positive and negative 3. Subtract 2. I'm adding 2 here, so I have to subtract 2. I get 6x squared equals 216. Just like you would if this was 6x plus 2, you're still going to subtract 2 first, so you're going to do that here. Then you're going to divide by 6. You get x squared equals 36, so x equals positive and negative 6. For this third one, whoops, down here, negative 3x squared. When I subtract 50, I get negative 243. Negative, what happens there? Well, in this case, nothing, because when I divide a negative 243 by a negative 3, I get a positive 81. So I get x equals positive a negative 9. Over here, I'm going to follow my rules of algebra, add 6. I'm going to get negative 5x squared equals 20. But now when I divide by that negative 5, I get negative 4. That does not give me 2 or a negative 2. It doesn't work that way. So you need to think about that. What number times itself, that's what this x squared means, is going to equal negative 4? So let's take a look at that real quick. So we've got this solving quadratic equations. This is that example that I just showed you. It's the exact same work. This is the equation of y equals 14. That's this part right here. This is the graph of y equals negative 5x squared minus 6. That's this part right here. So to know when this is equal to this is where this will intersect this. Well, look what happens. It doesn't intersect. So that means that there's no solution, nice here in blue, which should make sense because there is no number I can multiply times itself and get a negative. So there's no solution here. So this is one of those things that, finding out if there's going to be a no solution, it's when I end up with a negative square root. The only time that there's going to be one solution is if this was 0, because the square root of 0 is just 0. I don't get two answers for that. And that just means that this would be sitting right on that x-axis. So negative 5x squared minus 6 is never going to equal 14. So I want you to go complete the back of your worksheet and submit it into the assignment. So I can see how you're doing. Give me some time, please, to go back over it and give you some feedback or whatever. So this is the part that you're working on now. There's 6 up here. These are nice, pretty answers. These ones down here are not so nice and pretty, so follow the example. You do not get a perfect square for these. So you need to make sure that you are putting them in simplest radical form, like it says right here. Please follow directions. Some of you have a problem with that. So I'm going to stop here, and you're going to go ahead and complete this back. Do the best that you can. You can put some comments somewhere and ask me questions if you need to, and we'll come back. We're going to be doing some more of this tomorrow just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So good luck, everybody, and I will see you soon. Bye.